Hello and welcome to the show, everybody. Today, because it's a Halloween special, in fact I believe this is going up on Halloween, we are doing a special scary game. It's the Resident Evil HD remake. What do you think about the game? So entertaining. But yes, I played this game on stream, and so here are the highlights. Enjoy! Okay, so this is difficulty. This is hard, medium, easy. I'm gonna go for medium. Okay, hi Nathan Drake. Oh, she's the... Okay, she's the funny one from... Wait, what? There's like alternate skins? Wait, what? What was that? Can I play the game now? Yes, okay. I can't change the camera. Okay. Camera automatically moves. That's not gonna get annoying. Okay. Why would you... Okay. Alright, sure. Okay. He's not even looking at it. He's looking at the fireplace. Can I go through this door? No. That's how janky the animation is. It's not fluid at all. Oh, I see. Whenever it switches camera angles, I have to switch where I'm holding. Yeah, that's fun. Run, okay. Examine F, okay. I'm saying E. Take the ink ribbon. Sure. I assume I can use it on this. It's an old typewriter. You can save your progress. Ink. No, I'm good. Oh, it's gonna do this cutscene every time, isn't it? Oh. Hey, buddy. Ooh. What do I do? Am I just dead? What am I doing? I don't know what I... Is it even hurting him? Okay. Can I invest corpse of your comrade? Kenneth. Looks like he's holding something. Kenneth. Video player. Okay. Boy, that's... He's not dead? First kills are... Oh my gosh. That takes so much ammo. So I'm guessing this is one of those games you have to try and run away from the zombies you find, not actually try and shoot them. That's fun. How do I heal? How do I open inventory? Map status, I guess. Ammo of a sword. Cut it? No. Okay. So how do I heal? It's locked. One of an armor. Okay. So a Pokemon Sword and Shield predicted in this game. That's insane. What? No, I killed him. I have that gun instead. Looks like it's much stronger. Let's look for him, but let's not leave this. Where? If he heard you, he'd be in this hall, right? That is upset and mad. Oh wait. Hello? Oh, that's a reflection. Okay. Something shiny? No. Yes, it is shiny. How do I get it? I want that. Woman running. I want the shiny thing on. Oh wait, well, I thought that was I could open it and find loot. How do I open my inventory again? Status. Okay. Okay, well. That. Oh. Oh, come on. Fight back, you idiot. Stab him. You have a knife. Or shoot him. You have a gun. Pressing E. Okay. Oh, I see. It's a one-time use thing. Oh, is that game over? Oh, that's game over. Get used to it. Wow. You are dead. No big surprise. I never saved my game. Okay, well, let's do a speed run. Get up. Apparently I can't shoot you if you're down. Also, where did that zombie come from? There's this dresser in the way. And he wasn't there before. Oh my gosh. I do not like this changing camera angle shtick it has going on. Oh, that's a funny mirror. Oh. There's someone down here, isn't there? Yeah, Did I kill him? Oh, cool. Okay. Select from the other side. Oh. Sure, I guess. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to inspect the body. Can I just keep taking plants? I don't know what this is used for, but I guess it's important. Green herb. Combine. Can you tell me its use, please? That's all I want. As well in this region. Wow, that is... Okay, I do not like this. Yeah. Still doing that thing to like try and... Oh, that's gonna come after me. That's gonna come after me. May whoever takes this emblem find peace and death. You take the mansion key. Yeah, and then that spiky shield thing's gonna come flying at me. Or the walls come crushing in. Hello. I didn't save my game again. What? 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 Why would... Okay, I'm done here. I don't understand this game. Oh, hey buddy, hi, hey, whoa, we're on camera, we're on the show. Welcome to the show, hey. Yeah, that's great, that's great. So that was the highlights. Oh my gosh, this thing is hot. Oh hey, I don't know how he does it, but man, that is hot. Whew. Much respect for Jason, because this thing is, you know, they say to wear a mask when you go out into public. I don't think I'm gonna sleep tonight. So, Resident Evil HD remake. Yeah. So this was essentially the same game as what came out on the PlayStation
back in like 1996, but with updated graphics, with the HD visuals. So they redid all of the visuals to make it look nice, but for the most part, with a few tweaks here and there, it is the same control scheme, it's the same ideas, the same rendering concepts, and so I wanted you to play it so that you could see there's been a lot of
better changes.
There's been a lot of updates to the idea of survival horror. There's been a lot of changes to games and to gaming capabilities in that time. And I wanted you to see, like, when I think of survival horror, like Resident Evil is the main thing I go to. And so this style of game, 1, 2, and 3, all played this similar way. Code Veronica also on the Dreamcast. And Zero, Resident Evil Zero. I forgot about that prequel that came out later.
I thought they just named the first game Resident Evil Zero. I just hoped there would be sequels.
So anyway, I wanted you to play it so that you could get an idea of what those early games were like, even though you were playing with the updated HD visuals. Now, this was released later on the Gamecube. And this was a big deal for having it on the Gamecube as opposed to being out on the PlayStation or whatever. Although later on it got released to other systems, but
I mean, I would assume so.
But being a GameCube, like, first of all, it's a Nintendo system.
Yeah.
Nintendo didn't get a lot of games like that. Getting Resident Evil games on Nintendo systems was it was really odd when Resident Evil 2, the original one, got released on the Nintendo 64. Because they had to put it on cartridge and they had to compress it so much, and the cutscenes and everything got cut and compressed, and it was really, weird how they got everything to fit on cartridge as opposed to discs that you think of for streaming all that stuff. But then for it to go the step further where they get the HD remake, so they're getting all the extra gore and the blood and a really scary game. On the GameCube...
yes, very scary. Very, very scary.
Well, you didn't play it a whole lot. How long did you play it for?
About a half hour.
Yeah, see, you didn't play it.
And I actually only progressed maybe about 15 minutes.
Yeah, see, that's it. You didn't get very far into it. But there are some things that I appreciate about it that you probably don't like, and then there are some things that I'm glad they've gotten rid of over the years. That I'm sure you're also happy that they've gotten rid of over the years.
So then let's just go with it. What's something you're happy they got rid of?
The controls.
Yeah. Actually, as I was playing, I noticed instead of being like a smooth change, you go...
Well, it was it was referred to as tank controls.
Yeah.
Because driving your person is like driving the tank.
Yeah.
So it's very much like you move this way, and then you turn, and then you move, and then you turn, and then you move. And you couldn't move and shoot at the same time because there was no way to get this idea of moving and aiming at the same time with the controls.
Really?
So, well, because you had...
But you have 2 analog sticks.
But when the PlayStation originally came out, it didn't have those sticks. It just had the cross pad and the 4 buttons and then the shoulder buttons. So the sticks came along later.
Oh boy.
So when the game originally released, I mean, you were basically working with like a Super Nintendo pad.
I guess that's the best it can do.
So you had to hold down a button to pull out your gun so that you could aim, and then you had to let go of the button to put the gun down so that you could move.
Which
now, to be fair, it does add some tension because you have to maneuver and then think about where you're going to shoot from. Like, am I far enough away to be safe in order to shoot now? Before you go into an area, you're going to make sure that everything's like reloaded, because if you take the extra time to have to reload,
it only took like a second.
Well, yeah, but compared to the time it takes to move and then to aim and everything, like adding those extra steps really makes a difference. One of the things you do is you try to aim down and you slice at their legs. You can kind of get them to...
You can aim with the knife?
Yeah, you can aim up, aim down.
This is why tutorials should be a thing.
Well, and here's another thing. Well, like I said, the game was originally released on console, so it came with a booklet with instructions.
Yeah. See, I had to constantly check the settings to even figure out how to open my inventory.
Yeah, and so that does make it... that is something that you lose in the translation to going to PC. as opposed to being on the console because you don't, or if you bought the game used or whatever. Yeah. That is something with digital games on Steam. You're not getting the booklet and that kind of stuff that goes with it. But the whole point of the knife is so that you still have a way to somewhat defend yourself when you're out of ammo, because you will run out of ammo a lot of times during the game, and it comes down to slice with the knife a couple times just to make something kind of stumble back a bit, so then you can run away.
It never stumbled when I hit it.
Well, like I said,
it just stood there, took 3 hits, and then damaged me.
Well,
and then once you get hit, you have to watch like this 3-second long animation of them getting bit, and then it just goes. Actually, that thing is more like 8 seconds, and then they throw them off, and then you can move again.
Right.
So then there's this point in the hallway where they just throw a zombie at you, and I didn't have any ammo left, or at least I had like 3 bullets. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll use the knife. So I go to run up to him and hit him like 3 times, and I get hit and die. Game over.
Well, okay, that's another thing, is that your style of gameplay of I'm gonna run up and attack this thing,
yes,
doesn't work in games like this.
But
games like this are made for, I'm going to try to run past them, use as few shots as possible, try to avoid as much as possible, and get the heck out of here.
See, I don't play any game like that, aside from maybe like Pokemon, once I've got...
Well, okay,
once I'm like level 80 and I'm just trying to get to the Elite Four.
But here's the thing. If you had put some time into this game and gotten to the point where you realize that you're running out of ammo, that you're low on health, here's another thing that adds to the tension is saves. Now again, I understand it adds a level of tension that I like, but at the same time, it's really a pain in the butt a lot of times to play like this. But you can only save at the typewriters.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
And you can only save at the typewriters when you have a typewriter ribbon. If you don't have a ribbon, you can't save.
Now, there is a massive flaw here. What if you have to leave, but you don't have any ribbons?
Then you pause the game and you hope that your power doesn't reset while you're going.
Okay. What if there hasn't been a typewriter for like 20 minutes?
Then a lot of times you will find that you backtrack. And you're like, okay, I have to go back and fight through a bunch of stuff to try to get back to the last typewriter so I can save. And your storage... You only have so many spots that you can save stuff. Near most typewriters, there is a box, a big inventory box. You will, like a big crate, and you open it up, creak, it opens. Whatever you store in that box is available wherever there's another one of those boxes.
Oh.
So you can find health, find ammo. Like if you find shotgun shells, but you don't have the shotgun, you throw them in the crate. You keep fighting, eventually you'll find the shotgun, and then you go, next time I find the crate, I've got some shells I can pull out there.
Okay. Again, another issue is that it's never been explained you can only save with the typewriter. It's never explained that the crates go between every crate, because I would almost assume these aren't magic crates. It doesn't specifically say, hey, this crate is magical, like in Undertale, where you can save items throughout the game. I would just assume, oh, this is a box. Anything I put in here is in this box.
Right, and again, something you lose by not having a book.
And I found some green herbs, but I had no clue what they did. I tried
herbs. Are you British?
No, that's
herbs.
Herb.
On the continent, we call it herbs. The H is silent. You only pronounce the H when you're talking about a person's name, like in the band Peaches and Herb.
Anyway, I tried fumbling around in the inventory to see what use they had, and the most I could find was a description that says, hey, these are green plants, they grow everywhere. It let me view the model, read a description of what the item is and why it exists, but won't tell me what its use was, which again, you need the booklet for, or at least they should have
I wonder,
added a detail for it.
Since you played it on Steam, I'm wondering if Steam has documentation.
Well, it's probably in like the game's like description.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if there's if you were to go into the game
in my
information.
In my opinion, if you have to use an excess resource in order to understand how to play the game, then the game isn't doing its job properly.
Well, the game came from a different time when every game came in a case with a book.
Right, but they've updated the game and changed it. So
but when the game was updated for a time when games came in a case with the book.
Did they?
Yeah, Gamecube games came in a case with a book.
Do they?
Yes.
I know a few of them I have, but I can't.
They all came because they were on the little discs.
Sure, I'll take your word for it.
They were on those.
But at least they still have tutorials. I mean, luckily it's not as bad as like modern game tutorials. Like, hey, here's an hour-long tutorial on how to move.
Right. And that is something that's wrong, I think, in a lot of modern game tutorials where they throw everything at you at first.
Yeah.
And you have to go through and try everything out before the game starts, because then by the time you get into the game, you've forgotten what a lot of that stuff is.
Which is one of the reasons why I like Doom Eternal again, because it just gives you a shotgun and tells you to go at it. There's only like some tiny little pop-ups that appear, and they don't last for more than maybe 5 seconds if you actually try and read them. Well, oh, it teaches you how to glory kill. Okay, bam, punch his head in. You go, oh, chainsaw, it lets you get ammo. And then you just go, oh, weapon mods, you can upgrade your weapons. It doesn't tell you, okay, here's how you move, here's how you jump, here's how you use a gun. It's like, if anyone has played a game before or has any sort of game sense, they will figure out how to move, how to look, how to jump.
Well, also, but having said that, though, if you were playing this on the PlayStation originally, then a lot of the controls for shoot or accept or open the door or whatever, you're used to using that circle button for doing that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like the X button for, doing certain controls, the triangle for bringing up your inventory.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just common for doing that stuff. So that you're playing on the computer, you're not playing on the console it was meant for with the controller it's meant for.
But they also didn't really try and compensate for the computer, because normally I would assume either I or E is inventory, since that just is very close to WASD, I for inventory, but no, it's on N, all the way down here on like this bottom of the keyboard.
N for inventory.
Yes.
See, it makes sense.
I don't think I and E were even used. Maybe E was to like interact with stuff, but it just wasn't the controls weren't designed well for the keyboard as well.
Can you remap the keys?
Maybe if you dig around the options enough, but I just looked up. Actually, no, I don't think you can. 'Cause I remember trying to, and then just nothing, no option. So
yeah.
But
now one thing I do enjoy about the game is the atmosphere of it, because one of the things, again, you didn't get as far into it. But one of the things about the game is that there really is no music unless there's a cutscene or a boss fight. And those are the only times that you really have music for the most part. Otherwise, it's a lot of that feeling of isolation, that feeling like you really are alone in this big giant mansion. It's the sound of your own footsteps. It's the sound of you dragging something across the floor, unlocking something, the sound of you picking something up. And then you can hear, there are times when, because of the camera, the way it's set up, you'll open a door to walk into a hallway. You can't see the whole hallway, but you can hear the breathing or the growling of a zombie, and you know that there's something down there.
Yeah.
And so the question is, do I walk up that way, let the camera switch to that view and see if it's something I can kill, or do I stand here and wait and see if this thing is going to come at me? And there's always a tension that builds between that, because it's like, how far do I explore and how much do I let this stuff come at me? Yeah. And that's something that you don't get, especially in the way you play.
Yeah.
You just run right at everything and just shoot it in the face.
And that's also another issue I have with it, is that zombies take like 10 bullets to kill, which is an insane amount. Well, like, maybe if there's if you shoot them in the head, then they instantly die, or if you shoot them in the legs, then they have to crawl at you and they're much slower, and then you can use the knife again. But at the point where it's just like, shoot them 3 times, wait for them to fall, get back up, shoot them 3 times, wait for them to fall, get back up, shoot them 3 times, wait for them to fall, get back. Like, at that point, I'm standing there for like 20 seconds doing the same pattern over and over. It isn't engaging, it doesn't really change anything.
But don't stand there and just keep shooting it.
But I have to in order to get past.
No, you can just shoot it falls over, and then you run.
You can walk over it while it's down?
Just run.
What if it's in this, like, okay. The thing I had is, like, there was this hallway, and I'm gonna put up a clip of this.
Okay.
There's a hallway, and there's a zombie coming at me, I can see him in the mirror. So I get ready, I shoot him, he falls down, but I can't go past him because he's on the floor. I have to kill him in order to progress.
Did you try running past him?
Yes.
What happened?
I hit an invisible wall.
Are you sure you weren't running into the mirror?
Yes, because the mirror was behind me.
I mean, are you sure?
The mirror was behind me, yes.
Because you might be a little confused.
Because I had to kill the zombie in order to progress, but it's not entertaining, it's not engaging. Like it's like, oh.
See, I think the problem is your mind is stuck in this road that games play this way. And any game that veers off of that and says, here's a different set of rules on how to engage a game, you have a difficult time playing with.
True, because I like my playstyle either very protective and defensive, only really attacking when I need to, or like crazy offensive. Like I am either out there trying to kill everything I can, or trying to save my resources in order to secure a big kill. Like in Fortnite, as an example, even though the game is cringe, if sometimes I like to play really aggressively. If I see a player, I will run at them, try and take them down. Even if I end up dying, it still gives me experience. I still kind of learn how to play the game a bit better, see what I could have done better. But then other times where there's like 3 people left, I want to try and let the other 2 fight it out, try and push them together, and then try to come in right at the last moment, use all my resources, try and just overwhelm the last player.
Okay, but I guess here's another thing then, because this is again from a different era of gaming.
Yeah.
Where you're playing a game like this, you're pretty much expecting that you're going to go through each area, you're going to defeat it and move on.
Yes.
And you're never going to replay it unless you replay the whole game.
Yeah, basically.
Right, and this is from an era of gaming where you're going to play and you're going to fail. And you're going to start over. And you're going to play and you're going to fail. And you're going to start over. You're going to play, you're going to get through it. You're going to go to the next area, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You're going to start over. You're going to play, you're going to get through it. You're going to play, you're going to get through it. You're going to play, you're going to get through it. You're like, okay, I got the hang of this. Play and get through it, play and get through it, play and get through it. Big boss, what am I doing? I don't know how to defeat this guy. You fail.
Yeah.
So then you have to start over again. And that's, the games were designed in that manner, with this idea that you're going to play through it several times, trying to find new strategies, find new paths, trying to figure out different ways of using your items and your inventory in ways.
To me, failure in a video game isn't a setback. It's because I did something wrong. But sometimes when that failure is because, oh hey, these walls just locked me in and there's this giant stand of armor that comes at me and instantly kills me and there's nothing I can do, that's when I get upset. That's when I'm like, okay, I'm done with this game. That was a cheap death.
Okay, but in that particular situation, if you're playing Resident Evil and you walk in a room and the room locks you in and you can't figure out a way to get out and you get killed, you did miss something.
Right, but
there is a way to get out of a situation like that.
I also tried, like, there's like the statue with something sparkling in it, and so you can see it. So I'm like, okay, and then there's this desk you can climb on to progress. So okay, maybe if I jump on the desk and shoot the statue, maybe it falls off. No, that doesn't.
No, you push the desk over.
You can push it. Again, they never make any of this clear. I didn't know you could push anything in this game.
Yeah, that's what a lot of it is. You're gonna push stuff around one way or the other to climb up or to move something out of the way.
It never told me I could push something.
Yeah, so you're gonna push collapsible stairs over by the statue so you can climb up and get the thing out of the.
Yeah, I never caught up on that at all. It never, especially since with that desk, you jump onto it and then jump off of it to go to the next area where it throws the zombie in the hall at you.
Oh, you're talking that. Okay, now I know the part you're talking about. That's not a hall though, because it doesn't go through anywhere. That's a back storage room.
It's basically like a straight line.
It's an L-shaped storage room. It's not a hall.
It's a straight line. But still, but to me, if it had been like, oh, by the way, you can push items, then it would be like, okay, maybe I'll just press every button I have on this thing and hope it works. But like, I don't even remember seeing like a push or pull option in the controls.
In fact, I don't know if you even need to press a button to push it. You just get up near it and the animation takes over, and you just put your shoulder down and.
No, because I ran into it a while until I realized, oh yeah, I press a button to jump on it, and then climb up and climb down, because it didn't do it automatically.
Maybe it's not the desk. Maybe it's something else in the room.
But
yeah, in that room, because you're talking off the grand hall on the other side.
Yeah, right when you split up with the other guy.
Right. So he's on one side of the dining room. You go off on the other side.
Yeah.
Where that statue is. Yeah. There's something in the room that's like, I don't know. It's like a flower stand or stairs or something, whatever. And yeah, you move it over to the statue and you step up, and then you can take the thing out the top.
Yeah, I never caught on.
And that may be what you needed to get out of that other room that you got locked in. You may have needed that jewel to put in the armor to unlock it and make it back up.
Yeah. Again, this is why you need at least some form of tutorial. Even if the game comes with a booklet, you're not guaranteed to have the booklet.
Well,
especially if it's a game like this, where it wants you to replay it every year for like a special Halloween revisit. You're gonna, like, yes, sure. Let's say you know
this is the fault of Steam, really.
I guess.
I mean, because Steam should have some mechanism where it's like, okay, this is an older game. You need to have some sort of file when the game is purchased. That when like the menu when it loads or whatever, there's something that comes up and says, here's the basics about playing, you know, or something along those lines.
In fact, this is going to be a bit of a weird one, but the Sonic Mega Collection on the Gamecube as well, I guess, it has a manual in the game for each game. Like, the original manual is the game kit, because it's a collection of a bunch of old Sonic and a few other Sega games.
Right.
And instead of, like, obviously, Sonic games are very simple, they're not as complex as Resident Evil, but it still comes with the booklet that tells you, hey, you can spin dash, you can jump, you can walk, here's the controls, here's the buttons you use. And I think a few of them have even been modified to have the GameCube controller on them, instead of the original Genesis or whatever. Which, if this remake had done that, that would have solved just about maybe every problem I've had with it, like, majorly, because I didn't know you could push stuff. And if it had the booklet that I could read in just like a booklet viewer, it'd be like, oh, okay, you can push stuff. I'll have to keep that in mind. Oh, when you pull out your gun, you can't walk. Like to me, you should be told this in some way in the game, because booklets.
Well, okay, but you can't recode every game.
True, but
because with every platform, because they re-released it on PlayStation 4. On PlayStation 4, you do have a game controller. You do have a limited number of inputs, and it is going to be fairly obvious that it's like, okay, I want to shoot. I'm probably going to use one of these trigger buttons.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So you've got a certain level of this understanding that comes with holding the controller and playing the game.
Yeah.
When you play on PC, though, all of that's out the window if you're not playing with the gamepad.
True.
So if you're playing with a mouse and keyboard, then there needs to be some sort of mechanic where Steam says, okay, hold up, you're not playing on the way it was designed, so here are some extra bits of information. Like, it should be able to add that layer of functionality that isn't there.
Yeah.
So, alright.
But, I'm trying to think. I remember there was something else I had a problem with. Oh, yeah, voice acting.
Well, yes.
That's hot garbage.
The voice acting is notorious for being terrible.
No, don't do that. Go here.
No, don't go in there.
No, don't go in there.
Well,
like it doesn't have any of that. Like,
well, okay, but here's the thing. One is that most of that stuff was recorded by just random people in the company who were not actors, who just felt like idiots because they're standing there recording this stuff and they don't really know. They're recording one line at a time.
I guess, yeah.
You know, so you don't really know like what it is you're reacting to, and so it could be like, hey, don't go in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As you know, it's like you just walked out of a room where a giant monster ate 4 people, and someone you know is going, what? Ricky's dead? And runs over to the door and starts to open it, and you're saying, no, don't go in there. But you don't know any of that information. So they just tell you to say, no, don't go in there. And so you go, hey, no, don't go in there. And you go, that's the totally wrong delivery.
Yeah.
But back in those days, voice acting in video games was new.
Really?
And it wasn't a thing that people understood. And so it's just like someone recorded it, and it's like, okay, it's recorded. There, you've got it. And they just used it, and there it was.
Okay.
You know?
I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of these like classics. Instead of saying old game, there you go. Like they definitely have their charm, but to me, especially a game like Resident Evil, there's just some sort of, it just feels like there's always something missing.
No. I don't expect you to play it and go, oh my gosh, this is the greatest game ever. I'm going to play this instead of Doom Eternal. I don't expect that to happen. But what I expect you to do is to sit down and play it and go, okay, now I kind of understand where some of this stuff has come from.
Yeah.
And I have a better understanding of how some of this stuff developed. And when people talk about certain things, like if I were to say to you, oh, that game has tank controls, now you know what I mean.
Well, I know what.
And if I had just told you, but now that you sat there and played,
Well, I've played other games with tank controls as well.
like what?
Okay. I can't think of what the game is called, but it was made in Unity. It's just like a small little indie game that there is free. I remember being like, it's a platformer with tank controls.
Okay.
And then also Sonic Unleashed has kind of tank controls.
No.
You'd be surprised how slow he turns.
Well, it's not about the point of turning slowly.
Right, but
It's the fact that there was no turning while in motion at all. Like you had to stop motion and turn, and then begin acceleration again.
Okay.
So the point is that you know, it's like going back and watching an old black and white movie.
Sonic R's tank controls. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Right.
But it's like going back and watching a black and white movie. You're not going to go, oh, this is so much better, you know, watching a science fiction movie from the 40s where everything is in black and white, as opposed to watching a science fiction movie from 2 years ago with all this great, you know, animation to it and special effects. But you can look at it and go, okay, now I can see where the modern games are getting some of these ideas from. And where some of that design comes from, where some of those pieces fit together.
And in my opinion, where the game falters the most is the camera. You and I had an extensive conversation about this the other day after I just finished playing it, because I am not a fan of the camera in this game in the slightest. I understand why they did it, because the PS4 couldn't really handle
PS1.
Right, that's, yeah. Sorry.
Actually, back then it was just PlayStation.
Right, since the PlayStation can't really handle 3D all too well, they built those scenes in a 3D engine and then took a screenshot of it and ported it to the game. I can understand why they did it, but it has not aged well at all. There are many times where I caught myself walking, camera change, oop, now I'm walking backwards.
Right. Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, that does happen quite a bit.
In fact, in the dining room, I was just doing like a loop around. Like I started this side of the door and then was coming around back to where the typewriter is. And so I'm walking, and instead of the camera switching just back to right above the door, we're just one down here facing the typewriter, even though the typewriter's already in this shot shining. But so now I'm walking this way, and now all of a sudden, with the camera over here, and all of a sudden the camera's down here, and I'm still trying to press the direction the other way. So instead I just...
And you walk out, and it reloads, and then you try to turn around and walk back, and then it has to reload.
No. Because it would switch camera angles, but I'd still keep holding the forward input, so it would just keep going like back and forth between the two camera shots.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because you're going, and it switches, but now you're pressing the wrong direction, so you're backing up out of the thing, so then it reloads the old one, and you're trying to recover, you're pressing the other direction, but now you're walking back through for it to reload back out. You're getting stuck because and that happened. I mean, that was one of the drawbacks to the system. It looked pretty, it looked nice compared to other games. It was much better looking than other games on the system.
I would have much preferred if it at least had like a camera up at the top of the room and then just kind of followed you around, or at least having two for each side.
Like one thing they didn't do, and maybe they could have pushed and tried a little bit harder, was to, instead of rendering your screen and you're walking around in the screen, was to render this much area and have the camera scroll across that pre-rendered big section, because it's not going to take that much more just to scroll across this image, as opposed to cutting the other camera. But the
NES did it. Why can't the PlayStation?
They wanted to, have a cinematic look. It had a movie look to it, so it looked like shots that you would direct in a movie, which looked cool. It looked, neat, but it did have its drawbacks.
I could appreciate what the game is going for, and what it's trying to achieve, but I feel like it falls in so many locations that I can't necessarily say it's a good game, but I can appreciate what they were trying to do with it.
Well, if you look at it in the context of when it came out, it's definitely a great... Now, again, playing the HD remake kind of jumbles a little bit, because that's like... It's like watching the special edition of Star Wars, because you're watching actors and camera lenses and film grain from 1978, but with special effects from 2009.
Yeah.
It's like they don't quite... They try to clean it up and make it work, but it doesn't quite feel right.
What is this? Wow, what a mansion!
Captain Wesker, where's Chris?
Stop it! Don't open that door!
What is this place?
Not quite your ordinary house, that's for sure.
Hey, Wesker, where's Chris?
Jill, no! You don't want to go back out there.